Welcome back to Ask Lee Wednesday, and as always, if you've got any questions, then please leave them in the comments to this video and I will add them to the list. If you are listening on the podcast, you can go to anchor.fm/Lee W. Johnson, and I'd really appreciate some questions because we are going to run out and then we've got no questions to answer. Alright, so let's get to the questions. Welcome to my channel. You are entering the world of magic and mysticism with your host, Lee W. Johnson. Keep the lights on and help improve the channel by becoming a supporter for just $2.99 per month. Hit the join button. Okay, straight to the first question then. This is from SolemnSun. I can't remember what video this was referring to, but said I had to watch this one several times. But the question or questions, how do spirits, demons, dead, fae, guardians, etc. travel or transport themselves across this plane? Do they all move and travel similarly, floating teleports? Can different spirits face different obstacles in traveling like humans have to navigate to make it from place to place? In the way a wall presents a problem for a human to walk through, we walk around it. What can keep entities from leaving their places of residing besides binding, referring to how some entities may follow and others won't? Okay, so a few questions in there, but all kind of general. So how do spirits transport themselves between this plane and theirs, along this plane? Really, you can ask the question, how do we do it astrally? So, you know, when you're talking about the spirits, the dead, the fae, the demons, the gods, the goddesses, the angels, the archangels, all of them, every single one of them, they are bodies of energy. So when we think of our astral body, we're talking about our energy body. It's our astral body is a body of energy. So if we are astral traveling, we can move through walls, we can go from dimension to dimension, we can stay in this physical arena, and we can walk around our house, we can go to the next door neighbor, we can walk down the street, but at the same time we can also move to the middle world, which is this world, but could say it's kind of an overlap. So it's not this kind of physical, everyday, mundane world that we interact with when we're awake. You know, it's kind of an overlap, which is an energetic world, an astral world. So we can move around that world, but it's still on this plane, this arena, this existence. And we can move into the underworld, we can move into the upper world. If you go into Nordic cosmology, you'll find that there are 9 worlds. If you go into some of the Mayan cosmology, some of the other Native American cosmologies, you will find there are 11 worlds or 13 worlds. So depending on the cosmology you're looking at, you're going to find a number of different worlds that they have mapped out. And obviously astral, you can map out these worlds yourself. But when it comes to the spirits, it's the same thing. They are energy bodies, and therefore they can move around between dimensions. And when they're moving around this plane, you know, it's a wall, a physical wall, which is made of atoms. They are not going to be hindered by, they are going to pass through it because they are energy. I mean, we could go into quantum physics and talking about the 4th dimension and stuff like that, but I'm going to leave that for somebody else because it's not really my area of expertise. But if you do want to go down that particular rabbit hole, then I would definitely explore quantum physics, quantum mechanics and things like that. Entanglement and string theory and all of that stuff. you'll find that allows an explanation which sort of touches on this quite a bit. Now that last question there was a little bit different. What can keep entities from leaving their places of residing besides binding? I'm not sure what you actually meant there, referring to how some entities can follow and others won't. Because we could take that in the sense of, you said leaving their places of residence. If we are talking about land spirits and nature spirits, they are that land, they are the trees, they are the water in the river or the stream, they are the rocks, they are all of those things. We talk about animism and we say that everything has a soul, the rock has a soul, the tree has a soul, the plants have a soul, the birds have a soul, the fish have a soul, everything, every little living thing has a soul. And when we talk about the nature spirits, kind of overlapping there, this is going to differ in interpretation, obviously, depending on who you speak to. But when you're talking about the land spirits, especially land spirits, which cover quite a broad, wide area. Depending on the area itself, it could be a small area, it could be a huge, massive area that they actually cover. But they guard the land, and the nature spirits themselves are there to protect. They are all of those things. They are the trees, they are the rocks, they are the water, they are the air that you're breathing in that space. So they're not going to move from there. Just like, if somebody came into your house and said, get out, would you leave? Maybe if it was your landlord and you hadn't paid the rent for a year and they came in with the police and said, get out, you might leave. But, generally speaking, you are not going to leave your own home just because some stranger comes in and tells you to leave and get out. So when we move into an area and we start building, we're basically kind of telling the spirits to get out. And they ain't going to leave because it's their land. It's not yours, it's their land. So they're not going to leave. Just trying to think of other interpretations I could place on that. What can keep entities from leaving their places of residence besides binding? And I wouldn't say they are bound. I guess could say they are bound to the land and their place of being. But it's only because it is their land and they are it. I think that's quite an important thing there. Is it's their land and they are the land. So to try and get a land spirit to move is kind of like digging up that whole area, lifting it out the ground, plonking it somewhere else, which you're not going to be able to do. Referring to how some entities can follow and others won't. There are some land spirits that will move to different areas. Let's rather say nature spirits. I'm going to define between nature spirits and land spirits here, or land guardians. A land spirit or a land guardian is protecting a particular area. They aren't going to move, generally speaking, because, as I said, that they are the land. Their whole purpose is to protect that particular land. But you may get particular nature spirits on that land, which don't mind moving. Maybe you present a nice area for them and they may move along. So there are all ways you can look at this. Some are going to fight, some may not fight you for that. And it depends on the area and the place you're at and the manner in which you go about it as well. If you actually do get in contact with those land spirits and you suggest a different place for them to go and live, and you present it in such a manner that it's not trickery, and it's respectful, and you're trying to help them, because there's like some big building construction thing going to come in a few months, and it's going to mess up the land completely, and you want to help them, you want to give them a nice place for them to live instead of being destroyed. You know, there's ways to go about that they may or may not, but they may actually agree with you and move along. But if you just go in there and say get out, they're not going to move, because they're just going to attack you like anybody would, really. So yeah, I'm not sure if that all answers the question. Let's just go through it again. How do spirits travel or transport themselves across this plane? They just move. They are bodies of energy. They don't need to walk. They can walk if they want to, but they don't need to. They can also take other forms, so they can take on the forms of people or animals, in which case they will present more physically to us when we interact with them. But they can literally go from one place to another in a split second. They can, the same with astral projection or astral travel. You know, when you want to go to a certain place, you don't need to walk there. You don't even need to fly there. You can just think yourself there, and you are there. So it's very similar. It's exactly the same thing, really. Do they all move and travel similarly? I don't know. I can't really answer that one. I would have to say yes, but definitively I can't say yes. I don't really know. Can different spirits face different obstacles in traveling, like humans have to navigate to make it from place to place? No, not really. Can pass through walls, can pass through what we call solid objects, because they aren't solid objects actually. Mostly they're just nothing, just nothingness space between the atoms and the subatomic particles and such things. Made a new word up. What can keep entities? We had a look at that quite extensively. Alright, so I think that answers that question. So let's go on to the next one, which was from, no, it's not that one. From EvilCode. Okay, I've been meditating off of Satan's N, and I'm having voices in my head. Is he talking to me? I don't know. I'm not you. I cannot answer that question, but I can give you some pointers to look at. And I think in regards to Satan specifically, you see, the way I view Satan is going to be different to the way you view Satan, because Satan is a title. Satan is the adversary. The way I view Satan is that you, the magician, you, the creator of your own reality, you that is embodying all, which is bringing the microcosm and the macrocosm together in order to change reality according to your own will, you are the Satan. And you are being adverse to the norms of society and such things. But you probably, obviously, view Satan as an entity. Now, with any entity, you are going to have to test and have a look on this channel for, just do a search on the channel itself for anything to do with astral parasites. There are videos about testing the spirits, and not just the demons, the angels, the gods and the goddesses. All of them need to be tested, because what can happen is an astral parasite can come along and can pose as the spirit you are trying to contact. And I'm actually going to do another video on astral parasites, because there's a really good TV series that is now on Netflix, which got nothing to do with astral parasites, but the way it presents the hackers and the way they approach the whole thing is exactly how astral parasites function. So I'm going to do another one on that in the next couple of weeks. So you're hearing a voice in your head. Is it Satan? It could be, but it may not be. So you have to test, and it really just boils down to that. You've got to test the spirit. How do you test the spirit? You ask it questions, and you can ask it questions. Just keep on asking questions. You can ask it questions about yourself, about your own personal things that only you would know. And you'll find that if the spirit gets pissed off, then it's probably an astral parasite. Any other spirit, any other divine intelligence or higher being or higher vibrational being or whatever you want to call them, won't get pissed off because they understand that you are testing them, you are protecting yourself, and that's what they're going to want. So ask questions, and if something doesn't seem right, vanish. What you do is you imagine yourself standing in front of the spirit, and if you haven't got to the point where you are interacting on a visual basis, doesn't matter, just imagine a spirit in front of you and make that visualization the spirit which you are talking to, which you are interacting with. Draw a banishing pentagram of earth. Okay, and you can draw it in red light, you can draw it in blue light, you can draw it in white light, golden light, whatever feels right for you, feels divine for you. And then all you do is you just kind of push it, and that pentagram goes through the spirit. And if the spirit doesn't disappear, it's probably a divine intelligence. So you can test it this way. You can do a banishing, and if this doesn't banish the spirit, then it's probably a divine intelligence instead of an astral parasite. If it disappears and goes poof, then it was probably an astral parasite and was trying to get into your good graces so that it could then start feeding on your fears. The astral parasites are going to feed on fears, they're going to feed on your anxiety, your depression, and they're going to create more of that so that they can feed more and they can get more food. So be wary of that. And if it is an astral parasite, don't create a relationship with it. It is just going to become just a disaster, an absolute disaster. And it is going to take over your life. It is going to isolate you. It's going to remove you from all interaction with people, with your friends, with your family. And it's going to get you to trust it, and you can't trust it. No matter what, you cannot trust it. So don't work with astral parasites. Okay, so hope that answers that one also. And I'll be back next week with a couple more questions. Or one. Or two. Don't know. But let's see. Okay, so have a good one until then. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.